All right, thanks for tuning in to more college football talk on our first show of the season, handicapping the NFL and college football with Marc Lawrence of playbooksports.com. And Marc, I know last year it was all about the NFL because of the crazy college football season, but we get to talk about and handicap college football and the NFL this year, but I can't wait to start talking college football again with you.
Yeah, it'll be real nice, Greg, provided we're allowed to do that, by the end of the football season. We got to cross our fingers and hope that COVID doesn't create another mess this year, but at least we're good this season now.
Absolutely. And I want to remind everybody that they could check this out here. I just received this playbook, Marc Lawrence's playbook, 2021 edition, in the mail a couple of weeks ago. So you could just go to playbooksports.com and order this magazine. It's awesome. Again, you get everything in here, college, pro, all sorts of cool stuff. And you also have the digital available too, right?
Yeah, there's a digital version available as well for people that like to have it on their computer or their device, their phone. You can read it that way as well, but some diehards like us, old mules like us, or me, I should say anyway, like the print copy in my hand. I like to have it, I'd be able to take it wherever I go. So either way, print copy or digital at playbooksports.com.
And as you can see there at the ticker, we have the special offer for this specific week. And we're going to have offers every time we do one of these shows. We're going to have a lot more of these handicapping shows during the season. And that is if you sign up over at playbooksports.com/prime, you can receive Marc's Weekend of Winners package. And that includes his college football underdog of the month. The package normally goes for $69. But if you sign up at playbooksports.com/prime, you will receive the package for $59. So this is the first big college football package of the season, Marc.
It is, and it's loaded, this college football card this weekend, Greg, with a lot of college football games. It's like we're swimming in mid-season right now. We just did the newsletter, wrote up all those football games, wall-to-wall college football games this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing another show probably on Friday to pump out more picks and a lot more trends and things of that nature that I definitely get from your magazine, I get from your newsletter, and then obviously just from my own perspective. So these will be my own personal picks and information that I'm going to put out every week, and I'll probably start that on Friday. But we wanted to get things started because even though the college football season started last week, it's really starting this week. Last week was kind of an appetizer with a couple of okay kind of games from Power 5 schools, or at least three of them. Nice, seeing Nebraska and UCLA. Unfortunately, Nebraska and UCLA looked like the old UCLA, but Nebraska, Scott Frost, he ain't going to survive after this season, it looks like.
No, they're going to have to do a dramatic turnaround there in Nebraska. And they did it the old way that they're doing it, Greg. They out-yard an opponent but lose the football game. And they did it because of turnovers again. And that's a sign of a team that's not very well coached. I'm really, really surprised because Scott Frost, I thought, was a great hire going back to his alma mater, the prodigal son going home, did a great job at Central Florida. But these kids just don't get it. You say he's probably not going to last this football season unless they turn things around ASAP.
Matter of fact, and I'll talk more about this on Friday, that's actually going to be one of my picks. I'm taking Texas San Antonio against Illinois. I know that's not a game that we were supposed to talk about, but I just, Illinois, and here's one of the reasons. Texas San Antonio 9-3 against the spread in their last 12 as a road dog. Illinois 2-9 against the spread, their last 11 as a home favorite. They're about a touchdown favorite, I believe. And now I felt even a little bit better about that when you told me that they were out-yardaged last week.
Yeah, well, if you go deeper in the newsletter, in fact, we have that as a designated best bet play as well.
All right.
There you go. Yeah, I like the way you think. What else exists inside that football game is the fact that Illinois won a game straight up as an underdog, and now they go favored from a 7-point favorite, a role reversal despite the fact that they got out-yarded in the contest. But even more important, Texas San Antonio is as deep as any college football team is this year in returning production rankings. They go too deep. Everybody from the too deep is back from last year with 21 starters as well. So you got a very experienced team in Texas San Antonio taking on a very lucky Illinois football team. I'm with you on this side. I like the Roadrunners in this game as well.
All right, now let's get to the big ones. Alabama and Miami. Alabama is about a 3-touchdown favorite in a neutral site. I checked it out here, and I saw that Alabama has won 10 straight and covered 8 out of the last 10 in Week 1 matchups. And they've also won and covered their last 5 in Week 1 neutral matchups. I just did a little bit of homework on that based over on the last 10. And by the way, the last 10 are available here in the magazine. So I was just doing a little quick research for the show. But, anytime I get a game like that where you have 3 touchdowns, it's very hard for me to take those types of games, especially when you haven't seen Alabama's new quarterback. And for Miami, they do have D'Eriq King. I'm very interested to find out how D'Eriq King does because I was very impressed with his season last year.
Well, the quarterback edge for experience here would have to go to Miami with D'Eriq King coming back from that horrible injury. But word is he's doing very, very well, very mobile at practices here this offseason here. First time starting quarterback for Alabama, that edge does have to go to King and the Hurricanes here. And the trends are the trends, okay? And I like the trends when they come to support other reasons in football games. And other reasons that I like in this football game for supporting Miami in this game and maybe throwing aside some of those Alabama trends are 2 things. Number one, Alabama, with all their success, they're a defending national champion. They carry a lot of weight the next season, so hence you get a lot of value in trying to fade Alabama when the price or the situation's right. I think the situation and the price are right here. Go back and look at Alabama here. Championship teams with Alabama, his defense has allowed 260, 245, 250, 183, and 245 yards per game. Then what does he do last year? He blows the roof off last year, but the defense allows 352 yards a game.
Yeah.
You don't get away with that, Greg. You have to really, really get back to what got you to the dance, and that's defense for Alabama here. And he loses a ton of players in the draft, 6 first-round picks. That's very, very difficult to have to replace here. Miami's really loaded with the returning experience here this year. This has got all the makings of a possible upset in the football game, and if it doesn't happen, I'm at least going to be able to grab the points and feel comfortable with that.
Wow. I'd like to see that. Yeah.
There you go.
Good luck, D'Eriq King. I think everybody would be happy to see Alabama sweat it out. That'd be nice. So. Georgia and Clemson. I've already spoken to the publisher of UGAsports.com. That's, of course, Georgia Bulldogs fans. That's Ratty Nabulsi. And I'm going to talk to Phil Kornblut after this show. And he covers South Carolina sports talk for almost 40 years. So we'll talk Clemson football. I talked Georgia football yesterday. Both shows will be available before the big game on Saturday. Georgia, 12-2 against the spread in their last 14 as non-conference dogs of 9 or less. But they're 0-4 straight up in the last 4 as a dog. All those are in the SEC. Clemson, I was looking at this. The last time Clemson was a favorite of 3 points or less was 2017 at Louisville, and they won 47-21. Daniels, both quarterbacks played last year, but this is the first time both quarterbacks don't have any security blankets, especially on Clemson's side. So it's their teams. These are 2 of the best teams in the country, and this is going to be a great game, hopefully.
I think it's the best game on the board this weekend, and I was all set to go head first in Georgia all summer long because I like the Georgia Bulldogs real well this football season here. Number 1 in the country, 2 of the last 3 years. Their quarterback situation was solidified last year. I think this football team can beat Alabama in the SEC, if not winning their division, but at least maybe even if they make it to the playoffs, knock Alabama off. They're that deep is Georgia. But I got to tell it to you like it is. I put this into what I call my database or my well-oiled machine, okay? My well-oiled machine started to squeak, okay? And what came up in the well-oiled machine is the fact that Clemson enters this season their first game after having lost their bowl game as a favorite of 7 or more points the previous year. That's called a red-faced bowler. Those teams were embarrassed in their bowl game. They're mad as all get out, and they come out of the gate storming with fire in their eyes. 14-2 against the spread in game one. I'm not going to step in front of that. The other part of this equation is this. Dabo Swinney, who I mentioned, lost that game to Ohio State as a favorite of -7 points in the conference or in the college football semifinals, has never lost a game, a season opening game, when he's lost a bowl game the previous year. 5-0 straight up. And if you take a look at the average score in those football games, it's mind-blowing. He wins those games. I'm looking it up here right now in my newsletter as I'm speaking to you. It's something like 38-13, the average score. Dabo Swinney does not lose back-to-back games hardly ever at all, and he's got reason to play in this football game. With the suspensions to the Georgia players, not the suspensions, injuries, I should say, the price is right here. I'm going to side with Clemson in this football game because of the red-faced bowler.
All right, so again, it's teams coming off a loss as a 7-point favorite or more the previous season in a bowl game, comes back in week one the next year, and they go 14-2 against the spread over their last 16.
That's correct. That's our awesome angle in this week's football newsletter. Check it out.
And then Dabo Swinney, when he loses his last game of the season, he comes back week one the next year and wins those 5, has won 5 straight. Or maybe is he just 5-0 all time?
No, he's 5-0 all time in his career. Okay, and he wins those games by an average score of 38-14.
Got it. Okay.
In those 5 games. Okay.
Next, let's stick a little bit in the SEC, and also let's go out west to the Pac-12 with LSU and UCLA. LSU is a little bit more than a 3-point favorite in this one, about 4, I think. LSU 8-2 against the spread. Their last 10 away from home as favorites, so that's good. UCLA 0-2 straight up and against the spread as non-conference home dogs under Chip Kelly, and 1-9 against the spread in their last 10 as at home following a non-conference game. So the trends here, the ones that I just mentioned, all favor LSU. I don't know what to get out of LSU, though, this year after the way they looked last year. The quarterback play was bad. I'm not sitting here and telling you that UCLA's got a good quarterback. Their offense looked good. I think this might be a real exciting game to watch, though.
I think it's going to be a terrific football game here. LSU was very, very sloppy last year. Their defense was horrific last year. But they're bringing a ton of players back this football season. And one other advantage for LSU in this football game is this. Teams who have an extra game under their belt playing teams making their season opening game do not fare well. That will work against UCLA coming off that big.
I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought the opposite.
Yeah, you would have thought the opposite. But sometimes there's what you'd call false confidence in those football teams, and it just doesn't bear out and prove well for those football teams. So you've got that, and you've also got Ed Ogeron in his career. When he goes up against an opponent that comes off a win of 7 or more points, he's 24-7 to the spread when he's not favored by 7 or more himself. Nice trends here for LSU in this football game. I'm going to fade UCLA off that big, huge victory over Hawaii, and he'll find out that LSU is not the class of Hawaii this week.
Yeah, because the bottom line is if UCLA does beat LSU, it'll be the first meaningful game won by UCLA under Chip Kelly. And maybe it'll happen, but the trends, especially the ones recently under Kelly, it just doesn't happen. He hasn't done that yet. He hasn't accomplished that yet. So if he's able to knock down that barrier, that first one, okay, more power to him, but he hasn't been able to yet. So.
Yeah, and he's sitting on the hottest of all hot seats right now, which means pressure. Maybe he lifted it a little bit last week, but the pressure really begins to show, and it builds to a tantamount situation like this when you're taking on good opponents.
Okay, now let's get to a couple of Big Ten games. First of all, Penn State and Wisconsin. Penn State, they've won and covered 4 straight versus Wisconsin, both 2 at home, 2 on the road. But they're 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 as a road dog of 20 or less. Wisconsin, matter of fact, this is the last time these two teams played in Wisconsin was 2013, and Wisconsin was a 25-point favorite in that one, and Penn State
Well,
won by 7. It happened to be Bill O'Brien's final game. That's why you love the college game, because sometimes you have to forget the trends. You forget this, the stats, the season this, the season that, and then it goes on passion. It goes on, we're going to win one here. It's Bill O'Brien's last game, whatever the case may be. Revenge. Nobody cares if you've won 3 straight games in the NFL against an opponent. The rivalry, it doesn't really exist. College, it means something. But anyway, Wisconsin's a 4-point favorite in this one. What do you think about this matchup?
I think a lot of name and reputation for Wisconsin here, Greg. This football team barely a winning season last year, and they only scored 25 points per game. That's their lowest scoring output. You got to go back the last 12 years to find out when they did something worse than that. You've got in Penn State what I call a mission team this year. And mission teams are very, very good when they dress up as underdogs in avenging situations. A mission team is simply this. It's a team that was a bowler 3 years in a row and then suffered a losing season. They will play on a mission the following year to get back to that status. That'll be the role for Penn State all season long here this year. I like Penn State in this football game. I think Penn State's going to be a really good football team. Remember last year, they started out 0-5 last year, largely because of the pandemic situation that went on about them. Then they closed like a racehorse down the stretch. That's the Penn State football team I expect to see this year, and I expect to see it in this football game as well. I think Penn State upends Wisconsin.
All right. Also in the Big Ten, Indiana and Iowa. Now, some of the trends are very conflicting, so this is going to be a tough one. Indiana last year covered all 7 games in the Big Ten. Iowa has won 3 straight up and against the spread over Indiana. And Iowa ended their season last year winning 6 straight, covering 5 of the last 6, while Indiana went into their bowl game 6-1 straight up, 7-0 against the spread, lost to Ole Miss as a 7-point favorite. So that's their last memory there. And by the way, Indiana, 7-point favorite, bowl loss. I think I remember you saying something about that a couple of minutes ago. But without knowing the trends, I don't know. I like both teams. I think both teams are going to be good teams this year. I just happen to like Iowa a little bit better. I don't know Indiana's quarterback situation, how healthy Pinnock's going to be, and all that kind of stuff. And it's only a 3-point game at home for Iowa, so I'm actually leaning towards Iowa. But I don't even know if this is a game that I'm going to take, because these are 2 good teams going up against each other. It should be a really good game.
I think it's a real good football game here, and I think it's a real tough nut to crack as far as the handicap goes, because when you can make cases for both teams in football games and still not feel real comfortable about going up and going against the other team, you have a real tough situation. That's here in this football contest. Has won the money 7 times in a row as a road dog the last 3 years. They've been playing really, really good football here right now. And I'm a little bit concerned about all the off-season rhetoric going on this Iowa football program here. I don't think it's going to serve them well in this football game. That's a little bit of a concern here. I hope that they can get back on the same page. Ferentz fan. And I hope he wins the admiration of the players back here rather than all the lack of harmony that they had last football season here. But to me, the truth of the matter is a real, real tough football game. You can make cases for both sides. I lean to that Indiana 7-0 point spread run that they're on right now as a road dog for a small lean.
By the way, another game that I like out of the Big Ten and Pac-12, I like Oregon State against Purdue. Purdue's a 7-point favorite. They're 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 as a home favorite. Oregon State has covered 9 straight as a road dog under Jonathan Smith.
Yeah, Jonathan Smith has got this program turned around. It's really, really nice to see. The only concern I have for them is this, is he was doing a great job building that football program, but his recruiting fell completely off the map in the offseason last year. He went from number 54 in the country to 109. I don't know what died in and around that football program for them to fall off that drastically. Usually it takes a year or 2 for that to show. It's a little bit of a concern for me in the football game, but I'm not a big Purdue football fan at all, to say the least. The only thing that works in their favor, to me, is the fact that Purdue started a ton of underclassmen the last 2 football seasons here, and those underclassmen usually end up getting that experience in year 3 like this would be. So tough call for me, but I wouldn't be surprised with, like you, if Oregon State wins this football game.
Notre Dame and Florida State will end up our games for the week. Notre Dame is a touchdown favorite against Florida State. It's about 7. And a couple of things I noticed. One, Notre Dame 6-2 against the spread. Their last 8 as a road favorite. And then I noticed, which you have, of course, in the magazine, you have the 4-year trends for each team. And Notre Dame 29-21-1 against the spread of the last 4 years. Florida State 14-27-2 against the spread in the last 4 years. It's only a touchdown. I know Notre Dame's losing some key players, but they still have done a much better job of coaching and recruiting over the last few years. It's only 7. I can't imagine Florida State has caught up to Notre Dame this fast. So just even going on that, I have to take the Irish.
Well, I'm going to be on the other side of this football game. Notre Dame's in for a long season this year. They were really hit hard by losses last year. They're one of the, in this world of a bevy of returning starters coming, and we'll this out, there are 68 teams in college football this year that have 17 or more returning starters. That is absolutely mind-blowing.
Crazy.
The average number is usually like 12 to 14, 12 to 15. Yeah. But this year,
everybody's back
because of the pandemic, everybody's back. The fans
Which
are
is
back.
Great.
The grandmothers are back.
Should be great for college football.
I think it's all going to make for a great football season this year. But in spite of all that, Notre Dame is not well fortified as far as returning starters go. They lose Ian Book, who started for 4 years with that football program. Goes down to Florida State, who's looking to resurrect Norvell. Gotten off to a slow start here, but remember, Norvell is 27-5 straight up at home in his career. Doesn't lose too many football games at home. And an amazing stat we use for our incredible stat of the week in the newsletter this week, and it's pretty neat, and I'll share this with everybody here, is Florida State, after going 37-2 home opening games the previous 39 years, they're 0-4 the last 4 years. That's sort of the depths of which they've fallen to, Florida State has. But Mike Norvell right now has got, again, a ton of starters coming back. Notre Dame's empty on the starting side of the equation here. A win here puts Mike Norvell back on the map and puts Florida State in everybody's eyes once again.
And I'll grab the points. That is a Sunday night game.
Yes, it is.
That's kind of nice to have some Sunday night college football the week before the NFL begins.
Yes,
okay, Mark. So once again, you can log on to playbooksports.com/prime, and the $69 package becomes the $59 package, and you also get Mark's weekend of winners, and that means that you're also going to get his underdog of the month. Correct? College football underdog of the month.
College football underdog game of the month. We've done very, very well with that. Our $69 weekend of winners is a very special price. But the $59 price for the Prime listeners out there is a special price. So take advantage of it. playbooksports.com/prime.
And we'll talk about it some more on our horse racing show on Friday. So I'll talk to you again in a couple of days, Mark. Can't wait to talk some more big horse races to cover, including a very funny incident that took place last Saturday. So should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
Firenze Fire, baby.
He'll forever be etched in my memory, I'll tell you that.
Never forget his name.
No,
Thanks, Mark.
Hey, Greg, have a good week and enjoy the games. Be well.